It's 7 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, so you know what time it is. It is time for your weekly episode of Look Around the Confederation. Before we get started, please remember the views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV, its GEC, nor divisions, brigade, camps, or any other subsidiaries. How is everybody doing in Dixieland tonight? We have a great show for you planned. I'm going to jump into the news really quickly, and then we have Past Commander-in-Chief himself, Chuck McMichael, the Lone Ranger. It is good to have him on again, and tonight we have him on for something different. Usually we bring poor Commander Chuck on when we just really want Chuck on because he makes us laugh, or bless his heart, the Stephen D. Lee Institute. So for once he is on, and it is part of what we're doing at the beginning of this year, interviewing people running for national office. We want to give you guys a chance to know the people running, their platform, and everything going into the national reunion. Now, of course, these episodes will be replayed closer to national reunion. We just want to go ahead, let them talk, let everybody get to know them. And of course, we'll replay this closer. And tonight we are starting with the Army of Trans-Mississippi. So if you're in the Army of Trans-Mississippi, please share this out, because I'm in the Army of Tennessee. So all my SCV groups I'm in are in the Army of Tennessee. So if you're in the Army of Trans-Mississippi, please help us out here on Look Around the Confederation and share this out. Camps, pages, brigades, anywhere you can, divisions. Let's get to know the people who is running for your two offices, which is Commander and Councilman. And tonight we're focusing on Councilman. So I'm glad to see everybody. We have Past Commander-in-Chief Paul Gramlin Jr. in the chat. The most sharp-dressed man in the SCV is here. Army of Trans-Mississippi Councilman Charles LeRae, good to see you. Mr. John, good to see you. My aide-de-camp, Jack DuPont. Kentucky Division Commander Kyle Thompson. Army of Tennessee Councilman Carl Jones. Alan Lawrence from the Lieutenant General Richard Taylor Camp 1308. Victor Smith from the Private William Riley Milton Camp, 741 out of Florida. And Ryan Rogers at let's see here, Camp 1824. So it's good to see everybody again. Please make sure to be sharing this out. We're going to go into the news. We have another legend in the chat. We have Frank Powell. Good to see you, sir. Our editor-in-chief. Good to see you, sir. Love the veteran as always. Great job. That's also a note. Read your veterans. Miss Sandra is in the chat. Good to see you. Looks like we got a lot of good people here represented. So we're going to jump into some news, and we will see where the night takes us. So I can actually, because our guest tonight is going to speak about two events, he's forcing me to talk about my own camp's news first. So I'm going to blame that on Chuck. But the Samuel H. Poe Camp number 255 out of Mississippi have our 30th anniversary challenge coins for sale. These challenge coins are $10, and it helps my camp continue to fight the false narrative here in Mississippi. It's a big deal for us. We wanted to celebrate our 30th year with a bang, and it was a glorious year. Had phenomenal events, and of course we had these beautiful challenge coins made. So I ask that if y'all can, please support my camp, the Samuel H. Poe Camp 255. All right. And by the way, you can contact either me on Harrison SCV, my SCV Facebook page, or you can go to our camp commander, my father, Forrest SCV, and go to our SCV pages, and you can message us about that. Next bit of news comes out of Tennessee with these wonderful baseball cards the Tennessee Division's been working on. And it is a great project, 50 cards for $20. And, of course, these are at the national headquarters, the National Confederate Museum, in the gift shop. Again, $20. Great tool for youth involvement. I collected a lot of baseball cards. So I love to see that happen. And of course, love to see anything that helps our youth get involved in the SCV. Victor is apparently bragging about the fact that he has 81 degrees here in Florida. Victor, I hope you get reined in. You have fun with that. All right. Going to the next bit of news, we're going to jump over to the General Forrest 200 Society. Of course, a couple years ago was General Forrest's 200th birthday. And this was made as a special celebration of that. For $200, you can join the society. You get this wonderful, beautiful challenge coin, a patch, and a label pin. And of course, this all goes to helping General Forrest's boyhood home. So make sure to join it. You're helping the boyhood home, and you get to be a part of the General Forrest 200 Society. And let's see here. Now we're going to cross over to the heart of Dixie. I still think Mississippi is the heart of Dixie. I'm sure our guest tonight thinks it's Louisiana. But we're going to jump over to the Alabama Educational Conference. So the Alabama Educational Conference, for those who don't know, is like the Stephen D. Lee Institute. You're going to get knowledge. And in this war for our heritage, in reclaiming the narrative, the greatest weapon we can have is knowledge. That is one of the two things we're using to fight. Of course, the other one's going to be money because that's the modern day bullets. But this is the battle minds you'll need to have. Education. Educating yourself for the fights. And the Alabama Educational Conference is a great way to do that. I've heard about past events. They knock it out of the ballpark. You're not going to want to miss this. I believe the cutoff date now is in February. If I'm not mistaken, I think AOT Councilman can correct me. I think it's February 16th is the new cutoff date. So I need everybody to make sure that if you're going, and I highly encourage you to go, to send in your money. It's going to be a great event. You're going to learn a lot. And trust me, it's going to be worth it no matter where you are in the South. Yes, so the cutoff date is February 16th. I will be having to hopefully get my money in soon. And then I'll get to go annoy Carl for a day, and that's always fun. So make sure you can go. You'll have great speakers and a great time. Next is the Army of Tennessee Workshop, which is home May 4th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will be at the conference rooms at Elm Springs, and there's only 65 spots available for this workshop due to room size. $15 will include lunch. Pre-order by March 15th for the lunch. After March 15th, the registration fee will be $20 with no guarantee of lunch. Speakers will include Membership Coordinator Eric Pavetti on Commander and Adjutant Training, Army of Tennessee Councilman Carl Jones on Building a Better Camp, Army of Tennessee Commander Jimmy Hill on Community Involvement, and others subject to change. Now, of course, you don't have to be in the Army of Tennessee to go to this wonderful workshop and learn how to be a better SCV member. You can be from the Army of Northern Virginia, the Army of Trans-Mississippi. It's open to everybody. So make sure you do that. That is also the day of our wonderful pilgrimage to Elm Springs, which I'm about to jump into. But make sure you sign up for that. They'll take a break for the pilgrimage. It's going to be a great day. SCV Chat will definitely be there on site, filming both the pilgrimage and hopefully the workshop. I don't know yet. We'll see. But it will be a great day full of education and honoring our veterans and ancestors. What more can you ask for? That sounds like a perfect day to me. But as I said, that is also the day of our pilgrimage and homecoming to the National Confederate Museum in historic Elm Springs at the Southern Heritage Center. At 10 a.m., there will be a service at, let's see here, at the statue of General Nathan Bedford Forrest. And let's see, the keynote speaker will be the President General of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, President General Miss Jenny. So it's going to be a wonderful time, wonderful speakers. Individual camps, brigade, and divisions and other organizations are encouraged to bring flower tributes and be announced as they lay their floral arrangements. The service will be moved inside the museum if the weather is not on our side. But we also ask that you bring a lawn chair, sunblock, and a cooler. No alcohol allowed. And that'll be another great event. I mean, again, for that a day, you get 2 events. Fantastic events. Now, I'm pretty sure this next event, we finally have someone on the show that can correct me on how I've been saying it. And I fully expect him to do that as maybe the first thing he does when he gets on. So, I've had trouble with this ever since. So, we're going to try our best to get it right. And I make no promises. So, on March 9th through the 10th, the third annual Battle of, let's get a drum roll, Darboon Landing. And I'm being told I have butchered that beyond belief from behind the scenes. It is always great to have you on, Chuck. And the thing is, bar done. Oh, I need to save how y'all say it in the chat because it happens every Thursday. But the Battle of Darbone Landing will be March 9th through the 10th at Darbone State Park. Step back in time as Union troops assault the Confederate defense to march to Shreveport. I'm getting a lot of Louisiana boys in the chat right now. It's a great day. I'm getting roasted in these chats. I hope you get to join the SCV soon, Mr. Johnny. We would love to have you. But yeah, no, I know a Shreveport people in the chat are are grinning or either saying some family friendly words to me right now over on the other side of the screen. But I hope that you all forgive me. And we do have someone on tonight to correct me. Now, the next event is let's see here, Longstreet Zollifer Camp 87, Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson birthday celebration. They had to move it to February 10th because of the horrible weather, the winter we all got. You must send in all registrations by February 7th. That's coming up. You don't have long. So if you're attending this event, please send it in. Now, if you registered for the original event, no need to worry. You're good for the new day. So don't worry. Don't stress. You're golden. Make sure to go support this great camp. They have a wonderful Lee Jackson banquet every year, and they knock it out of the park. And I'm looking forward to seeing the wonderful pictures from it. Let's see here. I'm also being told I said that wrong, which I'm not shocked at this rate. All right. Let's see here. Going into the next bit of news is the 2024 Western Brigade Lee Jackson Banquet. It will be this weekend, January 27th at 12:30 p.m. It is $15 a person. Kids 12 and under are free. Meals include fried chicken, ham, cheddar mashed potatoes, green beans, pasta salad, corn, rolls, horse salad, or house salad, Robert E. Lee cake, and banana pudding, sweet and unsweet tea, lemonade, coffee, and water. Guest speaker will be a Mr. George as Stonewall Jackson, plus a special appearance by President Zachary Taylor, father-in-law of President Jefferson Davis. All members and friends are welcomed. Please register ASP. Silent auction and door prizes will be available as well. Now, on this next event, the Gainesville Volunteers Camp 373 headstone dedication. The time has been moved back to 1 p.m. They haven't sent me an updated poster, but I do follow the camp on Facebook, and they made that announcement. So I wanted to let everybody know it's at 1 p.m. this Saturday. It's going to have news there. We need to have a strong presence. So if you're in the area not doing anything this weekend, like with all our events, please go support it. This camp works very hard to get everything. My aide to camp, Jack DuPont, who's 15 years old, by the way, worked very hard to get the VA headstone, and he wants to challenge everybody to get these beautiful VA headstones. He wants to see more of them. So there's his challenge, and that is my challenge as well. Let's work hard. I know sometimes it can be a pain, but it pays off in the end. But yeah, no, that will be this weekend, and it should be a great event. I expect some great pictures to come out of that event. Let's see here. Yeah, and David said on the last Lee Jackson event for the one in February, they usually have 190 to 200 people attend. So make sure you definitely attend if you can. Use up those Yankee dollars while you can. Ain't that the truth, Jack? All right. We're going to go into some real quick camp news. Let's see how I'm doing on time. Doing good. All right. Let's put this up real quick. The Winston County Grays Camp 1788 of the SCV and the OCR Jenny Brooks Johnson Chapter 18 wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone that helped with their 2023 fundraiser for a children's home toy run. They were able to raise, get this, $25,000 in 24. I butchered how to say that, but $24,000, $25,000. I'll get it out eventually. But they had a great event. They were able to help kids out and get the SCV out in the community in a positive image. We cannot thank you all enough for that. And we can't thank you enough for the good work you did for those kids. That's wonderful. Thank you. And I mean, that's what we need to be doing, people. We need to show the SCV, or show the community, the people at large, as my friends, the Kennedy twins, will say, John Q. Public, who the SCV really is. We care about our communities, and we care about our ancestors. It's as simple as that. So make sure to thank this camp in the comments. Wonderful job. I do believe we have one more bit of news from them. I will be getting into that real quick. Yes, I would love to go to Kentucky for an SCV event. I'd love to go anywhere for an SCV event. I'm not picky. I enjoy all the time I can get into an SCV event. Probably on this close to obsession, but I think I'm on the same level as Chuck McMichael with that. So we'll see what he says when he gets on. But one last thing from this camp, they also had the Winston County Grays Camp 1788 and their OCR Chapter 18, the Jenny Brooks Johnson Chapter, participated in their local Christmas parade in Haleyville, Alabama. Again, both ways that lets the community know. One lets us know that we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're proud of our heritage, and we want to be in the community. And the other one is showing them how we love our community, how we want to be a part of it, how we want to help our community, help the lives of the people in our community. So thank y'all again for sending me that news. Looks like y'all had a great parade as well. So I'm happy for y'all. Let's see here. Our Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, says Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief Donnie Kennedy is flying to Florida for a meeting. Otherwise, he would be on here to lean on Chuck, or to lean from Chuck. I'm here with my note and pad. Are y'all going to ask Commander Chuck some hard-hitting questions? I would really love to see it. Yes, networking in your community, letting them know who we are and the truth about Southern heritage. You cannot value that. That's weight in gold, people. It looks like Kentucky wants me to go. They're trying to squeeze me into a spot. But we have just 2 more events left to talk about. Now, for that, I'm going to bring on tonight's guest. So I'd like to introduce to everybody formally Past Commander-in-Chief Chuck McMichael.
Oh, thank you. folks out there in Chatland, you don't know how challenging it is to sit in the background with your microphone off while Moose is carrying on and saying all these things. And you're going, I want to comment. So let me run. So I'm going to run through a couple of these first that I see over here in the chat. Good evening, y'all. First of all, Alan Lawrence, I hope you're feeling better. We'll mention that Alan is the chairman of the Louisiana Division Convention this year. All the registration form is on the Louisiana website, lascv.com. And our speaker will be the SCV historian-in-chief, Forrest Dawes.
How about that?
Yeah, about that. Faversham to Carl. Jack DuPont. I've been through Picayune, Mississippi 100 times when I was logging in South Mississippi. I remember their sign said, "Welcome to Picayune, a coin in the purse of the old South." That's what it used to say on their sign. And of course, my friend Paul Gramlin and Charles, you are correct. It is Burns night. So free Scotland and up with Bonnie Prince Charlie. Let us remember our Burn stuff here. Yeah, Chuck, Carl, you're right. It would be Mr. Rogers. I didn't watch Mr. Rogers. That was after my time. It was been more Captain Kangaroo. Let's see what else. Got Brother Frank, who had a birthday here not long ago. Our Texas sister coming in. Longstreet Zollicoffer. See, Longstreet Zollicoffer Camp. It's actually just like it's spelled. It was Felix Zollicoffer. Got it?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. Yes, the cutoff for the Alabama thing is February 16th. Is that not Old Abe's hatching day as well, February 16th?
You might be right, actually.
Wow, so an appropriate day to cut something off, cut him off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Darbone Landing. Darbone. Except you say it fast. You say, in Louisiana, it's not Darbone, it's Darbone.
Darbone.
We kind of call it Darbone. Darbone Landing. And, you know, and that's even in North Louisiana. So there you go. Ron, I hope you got a sharp pencil. Victor, how about Ocklawaha, Florida? Okay, I think I'm done with all these folks now. Winston County Graves, yes. Let's see, Winchester. Greetings, Kyle. Good French there, thank you. Bonsoir, mon ami Charles. Cosi cosa. Don't be a couillon. Did we lose Moose and everybody else? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so first thing, let me do this. Since I'm officially on here as a candidate for Army Trans-Mississippi Councilman. The first thing I'd like to point out about the councilman's position. Yeah, très bien.
Are you going to talk about your two events?
Do what? So that's what I'm getting to. So with the councilman's job, there's two parts. Okay. One job is you're the voice of the members of your army on the GEC, and you listen to what they do and you bring their stuff and you help them promote things within the army. But your other part of being on the council is also looking after the general well-being of the whole organization. You have two duties to do there. Hopefully you do them well, and hopefully they are not in conflict with each other. However, Paul can probably tell you there have been times when what an army wanted to do and what headquarters wanted to do weren't always the same thing. Sometimes it's even within a division, but that's generally the job. You look after all SCV stuff and particularly what's going on in your army. So let's talk about an SCV general thing first. So you can bring up the Stephen D. Lee flyer now.
All right.
Please. Okay, so February 16, 17 at our headquarters, we will have the Stephen D. Lee Institute, and I think it is one unlike we've had before. We've had some really good ones, but this is different. In the past, it's been more people have written books who talk about what they wrote in their book. They bring their books to sell. What I wanted to do this time was to be more of an informal, here's a topic about us, and let our own members be the presenters about what we do. So all these people you see here are very well-known members for the most part within the SCV. Dan Dorrells, and we split it. The morning is going to be about the SCV as an organization, who we are. And the afternoon is going to be who we are as a people. So we'll have a talk about the revival in the Southern armies and the Bible Belt. We're going to have talk about Southern literature. Brother Ron is going to talk about the nature and the culture of the Southern people. Chris Sullivan is going to talk about the ugliness that happened, the coup stuff, and how we got a new constitution and how we now operate because of that constitution. Forrest is going to, as Historian Chief, going to talk about the history of the SCV that he's been working on. And Ben Sewell is the one I'm really looking forward to. Our Executive Director Emeritus, I would say, is going to talk about his years as Executive Director. Not only the challenges he faced, but some of the interesting and maybe even humorous stuff that goes on behind the scenes at headquarters. And then Frank Walsh will be our presenter at the banquet. He's the founding member of the 12th Louisiana String Band. So he's going to talk about Celtic music and its influence in the South. And I know a lot of people out there have some of the CDs from the 12th Louisiana String Band. And let me tell you what, can't nobody make a fiddle sing like Frank Walsh can. Whether it's Celtic music, old time Southern music, or whatever. So there's still time. Cut off February 2nd, which with some people, Yankees call it Groundhog Day. I call it Possum Day. I'll take Hank out, and whether he sees his shadow or not, that means 6 more weeks. So we have no idea what's going to happen to the weather. So there's the link. Stephen D. Lee. There's plenty of time. You don't want to miss this one. We're in the museum Friday night. We'll be in the War Memorial Building in Columbia. It'll be a great time and a whole lot of really good stuff. So sign up and come to that. I know you're not going to be able to make it because you have another event to be at. Sorry. But everybody else come. And it's kind of like a convention without any politics. At least not during the meeting. There's plenty of beat going on outside, I suppose. But it's a good camaraderie, and it's a good learning lesson to take back to your divisions and your camps. So there's my commercial for Stephen D. Lee. Okay, let's do my other commercial now. As someone who's been ATM Councilman once before, this is an ATM event, which means it's being headed up primarily by ATM Commander J.C. Hanna. Yes, Ron, the registration includes admission to the museum, especially on Friday night. Also, if you look at the schedule on the webpage, I'm arranging to have a tour of Elm Springs at 3 o'clock on Friday for anybody that wants to check in early on Friday. So check out the schedule. It's there on the webpage now. Okay, so JC, we have that thing at Stone Mountain every year, and I believe it was Commander-in-Chief Boshears talked to JC about maybe wanting to do something in each army. So we're going to have one of these semi-social, semi-educational, semi-celebrational, however many semis you want to throw in there, event. There will be speakers, there will be a band playing, there'll be different kind of demonstrations, there'll be some vendors, there'll be some food vendors. And the cool thing about it is it's at the Mansfield Battle Park, which is the largest Confederate victory west of the Mississippi. In fact, number-wise, the Confederates were more outnumbered than they were at Gettysburg. And they charged uphill and still kicked the Yankees' ass and ran them off. 2 Confederate officers during that charge earned the Confederate Medal of Honor right there on the very ground where we're having the meeting. Now, if that doesn't make it hallowed ground, I don't know what does. I believe one of Paul's ancestors died there. Two of mine fought there for sure. Just about anybody from North Louisiana had an ancestor that fought at Mansfield. But it's also the 125th anniversary of the Louisiana Division. So there's the flyer. I believe, I don't know if there's a Facebook page for that. Yep, Paul said so. Was it the Swain that died at Mansfield or one of the Criers? He'll answer here in a minute. So my ancestor that was there was the 28th Louisiana, one of the Criers. Okay. So we have one of our brigade commanders is also a relative of that soldier that died there. So those are two really great events. One's national, but the other one, you don't have to be in the ATM to come. And you also don't have to be an SCV member to do either one of them. You can register and come to the Stephen D. Lee if you're somebody just is interested that wants to learn, male or female. And yes, there's a difference, and you will be one of each. Or we're not going to check, but if we have a problem, homie don't play that. I know that's before your time, but whatever. And you don't have to be from the ATM to come to the ATM meeting either. So those are my two commercials. So we could get into the other stuff now. Do you want me just to babble about why I'm running, or do you want to ask me questions first?
Well, I guess the first question will just be a simple one, and then I'll let you babble.
All right.
So it'll be first question, babble, and then if we have time, I have a couple more questions. But just kind of give everybody an overview of your SCV career so far.
Well, I guess my crowning achievement is being the host of the oratory for 20 years. Yeah. Well, that's the reason we have conventions. We have an oratory every year, and we let them have the convention in conjunction with the oratory. But no, in fact, May of this year will be my 30th anniversary as an SCV member. I joined in May of '94. I've served, various things: brigade commander, camp commander, division commander, genealogist in chief. One of the proudest things I think I've did was served as Ed Deason's chief of staff. For those of you who don't know, and this will be coming out when we start talking about the history of SCV, it was really Ed Deason's election as commander-in-chief that kind of turned the tide from the old granny types who didn't want us to do anything and moved us into a more active organization. Frank Powell was elected lieutenant commander-in-chief on that council. I was elected to that council. That was my first time on the council. That was Paul's first time on the council. That was Denny Sweeney's first time on the council. That was Kirk Lyons. So you can see it was quite a changing of the guard in 2000. So I learned a lot from Ed Deason, being his chief of staff, because he worked me like a dog. And he was headquarters in saddle. Let me tell you, you never knew where he was, because that's when we first had headstones. That's right. Ed's the one who changed it from the good old boys club to doing and following the charge. So it's one of the proudest things I did was be able to serve Ed Deason as commander-in-chief. Then I served as a division commander, and that was some tough times. My term, Paul's term, because that was all pre-coup stuff that kind of started off in Louisiana before it spread some other places. And then I became councilman in 2006 when we had the centennial convention of the charge in New Orleans, as it was. And yep, Ed gave Linda away, and you've still kept her, Paul. That was quite a wedding. You ought to see some pictures of that sometimes, Moose. We had it at a plantation house at the Pioneer Heritage Center down at LSU in Shreveport, on the porch of the veranda of the old house, and with the saber guard, and it was a period wedding. It was really nice. It had a dance that night, and through some bizarre circumstances, I won't get into it all right now, but the New Yorker magazine was there and did an article on us that ended up in the New Yorker magazine. We've had interesting lives, those of us that have been in the SCV for a while. So that's, and then of course, WIWCIC, when I was Commander-in-Chief, a lot of that stuff is in the Commander-in-Chief's book. That you are correct, Ron. It is not just a movement, but it is a cause, and it's a way of life, and it's righteous. And so as Commander-in-Chief, I guess one of the big things I did was to kick off the whole Confederate Museum thing. That was under my administration. We started that. We also bought the additional land behind Elm Springs where the museum sits now. We didn't own that at the time. If you've been to Elm Springs, where that light pole is, right behind the old main building, that's where our property ended in 2008 when I became Commander-in-Chief. So we bought from there back to the fence, thanks to Ben Sewell. It's really funny. When Ben Sewell wanted somebody to do something, he'd go, well, my boss wants it done, talking about me. And I would laugh. I said, Ben, we know who's the real boss here. It's you. But if you want to use that to your advantage, you go right ahead. But since then, I guess I'm more proud, or I believe I've maybe even accomplished more out of office. The first 5 years, I ran the sesquicentennial events that we did all over the South. And then for 2 years, I did the National Confederate Flag Day thing. And I've served on all kinds of committees. I've been active. I have not gone away. So I believe what I would bring to being councilman is not only experience and knowledge, but currentness and maybe even some fresh ideas. Having not been on the council for several terms now, I've got some ideas that I want to do. The only reason I've ever run for any office in the SCV is because I had things I wanted to do. I don't need any more gewgaws. I don't need no more medals. I could use titles. I don't care. There's things I want to get done. And I know that's probably why Donnie's running for commander and Tony's and whoever else is announced their office. They're running because they want things to get done. And I have a list of things. We need to be more involved in technology. Why does the SCV not have a dedicated Instagram and Twitter account? We don't have to fight with people, but we can have followers and we can put our message out there. We can do more of what you're doing. The chat stuff. We need to have, and I know the secession camp is doing this. If you've ever been on YouTube last few months, you've probably fallen down the rabbit hole of watching YouTube shorts. You can sit there and watch those 1 minute videos one after another. We need to be producing those by the hundreds because people will sit there and just scroll through them and watch them one at a time. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff I want to bring and try to get up and running on the GEC. Another thing, big thing, of course, is getting to the finish line on paying the mortgage on the museum and seeing what we're doing with it and maybe giving some more input on what we can do with it. But that's the main thing. I want to be on the end game. And I think my experience over the years and some of the things we've done to raise money, I know I've got some, yes, you got that right, Ron. We need to be doing that. And so those are some of the things I want to bring to the council. What I want to bring to the Army, one of the things we always talk about, what retention. We recruit retention. And I think one of the things that your longtime members have is connections and bonds that they have to other members. They don't want to leave because that's where their friends are. I have maybe 5 friends outside of the SCV because they're people I grew up with or went to college with. The SCV is my social circle. If I quit the SCV, I'd just be sitting at the house, probably shooting at stuff off the back porch all the time instead of just part of the time, like I do now. So I think we need to do more things like this event we're having at Mansfield on April the 6th. That's a time for people to bond because we are a family and look at it as a family reunion. We could have more brigade picnics. Division conventions could maybe have some more social time. I'd like to work some of that stuff to build our fraternal and our familial bonds with our Southern family. And I think that would go a long way with retention. To have people feel a part. If they left, they would miss something, feel like they would miss something. If you get in the weeds theologically here, St. Augustine, yeah, Carl, you don't even like people outside. You don't even like some of them in the SCV. Maybe I'm talking about myself. I don't know. But anyway, you're right. There's very few people that we do like outside of them. We are Brander brothers and native to the soil. Indeed, we are. And from it we sprung, and to it we shall return. But that's some of the stuff you can do within the Army is promote those sorts of things. Another thing I'd like is, we need to up our game in the ATM when it comes to putting up new statues and new flagpoles in Confederate parks. I know over in central North Louisiana, one of our compatriots is working on a Confederate park. I believe it's going to be dedicated in March. We'll have you a flyer for that pretty soon. Texas has got a couple of places, but you got some money, find some land, do it. Because as much as we hate to say this, the day of, well, take them to court, pretty much over. What you need to be saying now is give us back our statues and we'll put them where we want to put them now. Except for a few, there's a few places that are different, but more your bigger cities and stuff, that's whatever. You're right, Sean. I have met people not only that served with my ancestor, but have the same ancestors. Carl knows him, a lieutenant commander of the Alabama Division, John Henry Land. I joined the SCV on John Henry Land, which is his great great uncle. He joined on his brother, which is my uncle. So there's about 6 of us that are all descended from that same Land family in Columbus area of Georgia. So yeah, you can meet family. In fact, we figured out a while back that my wife Belinda and Forrest and Harrison are cousins. She might not want to admit it, but you need to grab onto that for your credibility.
Oh, I am.
All right, I'll take another question now.
All right. Do you want to go off on what you wanted to talk about, or was that it?
I'm good on that one. If you want to hit me with a question, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think you answered my first question right off the bat. So let's see. How do you think your vision for your role on the GEC would contribute to the overall mission and goals of the organization?
Well, some of the things I just talked about, I think it was going to benefit the organization if we work on our digital footprint and outreach. That's certainly something we need to be working on. So I think I can bring that positive thing. I think I can bring some expertise or at least some good advice on how we can continue doing some fundraising. I know Ron's got some ideas and we've talked about some stuff. I have some organizational ideas. I mean, a lot of this is from experience, but it's not just redoing experience. Ronald Reagan used to tell a story. He said a man got married and his wife came the holidays and she went and cooked the Christmas ham, and she cut off each end of it and put it in the oven and baked it. And then it got Easter and she cut off each end of it and she baked it. He goes, why are you doing that? It's wasting ham. She goes, well, this is exactly how my mother did it. So this is how I'm going to cook this ham. So the next time they were visiting family, the guy asked his mother-in-law, and said, well, why are you always cutting off the end of that ham? She goes, because I didn't have a pan big enough to fit the ham in. So in other words, the daughter was wasting the ham and didn't know why. So Reagan also said there's a difference between 30 years of experience and 1 year of experience 30 times. So hopefully my experience translates into using it to develop newer ideas and applying them to newer situations that we run into, and not just refighting old battles. Use the knowledge that you've gained and learn to apply it to the new stuff that we're doing. That's what I think I can bring to it.
Okay. In your opinion, what are some of the most pressing challenges facing the SCV today, and how do you plan to address them?
You want them in alphabetical, chronological, or we got more challenges and Carter's got little liver pills. But you know what? That's why the SCV was started. It was times, no matter how bleak the thing seems right now, this is why we were started. We were not started for a time when the veterans were paraded and given honors and statues were put up. It was easy to be a SCV member now. The charge was for the times we live in now, to fight and uphold the values that they held. So that's our main focus that we have to be doing now. A lot of things come under that. You know, we have the front where we're trying to protect and save our monuments and our flags. At the same time, we got to tell people why we're saving them. Like Ron mentioned earlier, why does this flag need to fly? Why does this monument need to be up there? The more people understand that, the more support we will have for doing those things, and people who will come forward. Of course, our other challenge has always been not only recruiting, but retention. And some of the stuff is retention. You know, I talked about a way we could start making people, you know, feel more a part. And yeah, Ron, right, you had mentioned that to me before, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that fundraising project is going to be when y'all present it. I'm sure it'll be great. Now I can't wait to take part in it. And so we have that challenge to, you know, to retain. And our problem, and I've mentioned this before, and I'll go ahead and throw it out now. When people my age join the SCV, us so-called boomers, there were a lot of us. You know, when a snake swallows a mouse, there's that big lump in the middle as it moves through. Well, that's the baby boomer generation. So when we were recruited back in the 90s, when we were in our 30s or 40s, there were a lot of us. There's not as many 30-year people in their 30s now as there was when we were recruited. So that makes our challenge even harder. Plus, they've been getting disinformation. Plus, there's a lot more competition for their time and attention. So we need to fill that space that get, excuse me, I'm having all kind of allergies tonight. We need to fill that space that gets their attention and creep into those spaces that they're in with our messages. So that's some of the challenges in some of the ways. So we need to be getting our own stuff on our own land. We need to be making people more a part of the organization so that they will want to stay in and bring others, and figure out a way to spread our message in the most modern and cost-effective way.
Wow. I'm going to change these questions up. Chuck's knocking them all out of the park. I was wanting to make them stumble.
You asked me.
Now this next question, as someone who I really like to see the SCV take on our PR and change public perception of us and reclaim the narrative, like you know, our catchphrase on the show, reclaim the narrative 1 week at a time. You know, regarding our public perception, what are some of the plans you have to navigate that? Because it's a minefield. I mean, they paint us as the dog enemy. So I mean,
the number one problem with our public perception is they don't know who we really are. You know, I say, you know, all my friends at SCV, that's because they're some of the finest people I know. You know, you've got everything from truck drivers to history professors, lawyers, high school teachers. I mean, you name it. Every strata of society is represented in SCV. We're good people, and they don't know that. Too long, our enemies have had the bully pulpit. We need to find ways to put our face out before the public, not just our ancestors' face and what good people they were, but they need to know the timber of the men who are willing to stand up and fight for their heritage, that they're not, you know, troglodytes from an age past. They need to know that upstanding members of the community are willing to stand up and fight for the heritage that their children and their community deserves to be taught and to learn. So that's, I think, one thing we need to do is put ourselves out there more. We are the face of the SCV. You know, the NRA did that one time, the face of the NRA, and they showed all the different kinds of people. We've done that a little bit before with ads that had famous Confederates and their famous descendants on there. We've done that before, like with Lejeune and his ancestor, and Harry Truman and his ancestor, and stuff like that. So we need to do probably some more of personalizing who it is that's bringing the message to them so that it's more believable. If you read a card and it says Sons of Confederate Veterans, and all you've heard about the Sons of Confederate Veterans is what the SPLC says, you're not going to believe it. But if you've actually seen one of us on a YouTube video or a short or some of that, you go, oh yeah, that's one of those guys, and I thought he was okay. So I think that's one thing we can do is use whatever methods are available to define who we are ourselves instead of letting our enemies do it. Yep, Nimitz was and Chesty Puller was. You're correct.
All right, you've answered all my questions. Is there anything the either audience or you want to talk about?
I don't know. Anybody else got a question? I'll try to answer it.
All right, let's see if
I would look forward to a chance, you know, to be back on the GEC. And one of the things I will mention again that I do want to work on is more communication between the GEC and the members. One of the things that I would like to do as councilman is whenever there's a meeting, you know, not word for word or everything we fought about, but at least put out every time we have a meeting to the Army, we just had a meeting and here's some of the stuff we talked about. I think we could do a lot more of that stuff that we're not doing now in communicating what's going on a national or Army level that can be disseminated down through the divisions and the camps and the brigades.
So
if anybody else got a question or wants me to tell a joke or whatever you want to know.
Tell a joke if you want.
What kind of joke you want?
One that doesn't get me kicked off the air.
Well, I got Confederate jokes, but I think most of the people out there have heard Confederate jokes. Well, okay. Ron Kennedy, you just hit a sore spot with me.
Yay.
Thank you for bringing it up. We need more members to sign up for the Telegraph. Oh, I'll get to that about Hank. I have tried for years to say we need to sign our members up for the Telegraph, whether they ask to or not. We just need to go through and every email address we've got and put them on the Telegraph. All they got to do is hit that unsubscribe button if they don't like what they're reading. I think we've been too passive on that. As soon as we get an application with an email on it, we ought to put it in the system. And once a month when we run a Telegraph, it'll say which ones bounce and you delete them. I've run the Telegraph before. In fact, I set it up. We started it when I was commander. So, and all through Commander Givens's term, I ran the Telegraph then. It would not be hard to do. Well, that's being done. Great. So I don't know how we get more people to sign up, Now, what we might do, you bring up an idea there, Ron, but this gets into what I was talking about as far as Twitter or X, putting out stuff that's not necessarily only for our members. Just make a statement about what's going on in Arlington, put it on the SCV Twitter page. We don't have to engage those people. We just put what we have to say out there, and then they can fight amongst themselves. But it's got to be out there. And there's a quote from us out there that people can find. So there you go. All right, Sean, Hank, here we go. Hank was once an actual real live possum. We had a member from one of our camps who took him in as a baby. And people used to say, why'd you name him Hank? And I said, we didn't name him Hank. He stood out in the woods and yelled, Hank, Hank, and that's who ran up. But he started as a baby, and I believe, Paul, that was at the 01 convention in Lafayette when he first brought Hank to convention. And he was first made mascot of the ATM. And then later, Hank passed away, received a Confederate burial in a location we will not discuss at the moment. So then that's when the Hank impersonator came along, just like the Elvis impersonator. So, yeah, that's what I've been talking about, Ron. We need to do that. Set up an account on X or whatever it is. I think Elon would be all right with us on there. So anyway, officially, Hank as a thing in the SCV has been since 01, 24 years. But the Hank, as you know him, has been close to 20 years.
Mm.
Yeah. So he's looking pretty good for his age. I'm not sure how old possums live, but
I'll say
he's been,
impressive.
He's been in trouble before. So any other questions?
I'll say if we have any other questions, we'll try to answer them. If not, we might go ahead and go off.
I appreciate you having me on here. Let me ramble a little bit. Hopefully I've thrown some good ideas out there for people to talk about. And he has offsprings, all right. We won't talk about those. I think Hank may be on 2 or 3 episodes of Paternity Court. So
it's phenomenal. Well, I mean, it goes back to what you're saying. The SCV chat team a couple years ago, I think it was last term cycle, we wanted to do this, and we did it, and we enjoyed it, and we hope we brought information to the members, and were able to let them to get to know the people running for office, because it's extremely important. Now, back then, I think we only did the Army of Tennessee. That's all who we knew at the time. Me and our other actually the whole SCV chat crew is from the Army of Tennessee. So that's all we did. And so this year we decided we wanted to open up to everybody and try to get as much information out there as possible. So thank you for coming on. I couldn't do an interview about who's running for Army of Trans-Mississippi Councilman if the person running for Army of Trans-Mississippi Councilman didn't come on. So thank you. It was great to have you, Chuck, as always. I don't see any more questions, so I guess it's about time to wrap it up. I believe you are running unopposed, so I do wish you good luck either way in your race. And thank you for coming on.
There are some organizations that I won't mention that you can run unopposed and still lose. It starts with a U and ends with a C. Oh, by the way, I was going to tell you, I noticed you skipped over a name because you didn't want to try it. And that was the President General of the UDC. It's Jenny Wadowski.
I just did not want to disrespect her by butchering her last name.
Wadowski. And her husband, Ralph Wadowski, is a past commander of the Ohio Division. And her son, I believe at one time, was the President General of the Children. It's a really good family.
Well, that's good. I can't wait to meet her. And now I can pronounce her last name, so that will be beneficial.
There you go.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you tune in Monday. What day of the week is it? Or not what day of the week, but which Monday
29th.
it is? 29th. So it should be a Hearth and Home episode. I will call Executive Director Adam Southern soon after this episode ends and talk to him. So make sure you tune in for that this Monday at 7 p.m. Confederate Standard Time. And of course, next week's episode is Commander's Comments here on Thursdays. It will be our first Commander's Comments of 2024. So we will have Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, and our Commander-in-Chief, Jason Boshears, on to give us an update on what National has been doing. If you want more communication, if you want to know what National is doing, I'll give you a hint. Commander's Comments is a good one to watch. Please watch it. Share it out to your camps, your brigades, your divisions. That is a great way to keep updated. And if you have questions, you can send them to us, and we will try to get them answered. So please support that. Please support all the events we talked about tonight. And, of course, if you are heading to the SCV National Reunion, make sure you pray, think about who you're going to vote for, no matter who it is, and hopefully these episodes help you figure out who you want to vote for. So, or not vote for. So thank you guys for watching. Share this video out, especially if you're in the Army of Trans-Mississippi. I'm not in a lot of groups over that way, so if you could share that out, help me out, and make sure that Chuck's episode gets out there so everybody knows he's running, and, of course, what position and his platforms and all that. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next Monday. But until then, remember, my friends, to stay Southern. Good night, everybody.
Adios.